right, so day 6 notes, we're talking about graphing from a table and the constant rate of change. So here, for instance, is a table. And if you wanted to write this as ordered pairs, you could just write it as -2, comma, -6, -1, comma, -3, as you see here. So you can just write this table as a list of ordered pairs. This is your X's, these are your Y's. And then from there, you can just graph that. So remember, the X will always tell you how far to go left or right, and the Y's will tell you how far to go up or down. So if I were to graph this, if I wanted to graph -2, -6, I would go left to -2 and then down to -6, and I'd put a point there. -1, -3, I'd go to the left -1 and down to -3 and put a dot there, and so on and so forth. And then you could see that you here have this graph based on these points. All right, so same thing for this one here. This is your input, which is your X's. This is your output, which is your f of X or Y. You can get a list of ordered pairs, and then you can graph it. A constant rate of change means that you have some sort of a linear function which has a constant slope. So when I go from one point to the other, it's a constant amount. So for instance, you can see here, if I start at this point, I would go up 1, 2, 3, and over 1. When I go to this point, I'd go up 1, 2, 3, over 1. So that's the same. 1, 2, 3, over 1. 1, 2, 3, over 1. So they have a constant rate of change because for each one, I have to go the same amount up and over to reach the other one. They have these things called intercepts. And an intercept occurs when the graph crosses either the x-axis or the y-axis. When it crosses the x-axis, or where it crosses the x-axis, I should say, it's called the x-intercept, and where it crosses the y-axis is called the y-intercept. All right, so this here, you would always have your x-intercept would always have a value here for x, but your y would be 0 because you're going to be on the x-axis. And here, when you have your y-intercept, your x is going to be 0 because you're going to be on the y-axis, and then you're going to have some y value. So here it says label each graph and then say what the x and y intercepts are. Well, you can see right here, this is my x-axis. This right here is where it crosses my x-axis, and that point is -3. So my x-intercept is -3, 0. Because remember, when I'm on my x-axis, I'm not going up or down, so my y value is 0. This is my y-axis. Where it crosses the y-axis is over here at -3. But now my x is 0 because I'm not going left or right. I'm staying right here on the y-axis, so my y-intercept is 0, -3. So basically, when you have an x-intercept, you're going to have an x value. And when you have a y-intercept, you're going to have a y value, and all the other values would have to be 0. Right here, you can see this crosses through 0, 0, so both my x-intercept and my y-intercept will both be 0, 0. This one here, it crosses my x-axis at 1, so this would be 1, 0. It crosses my y-axis at 4, so this would be 0, 4. This here, it crosses my x-axis over here at 4, so this would be 4, 0, and it crosses my y-axis down here at -1, so this would be 0, -1. So if you have any questions, let me know.